kind of said that a bit of a weird cadence at the end. That kind of sounded like Ringo Starr or something. I think it's game time now.
What time is it?
ZVP, and the right side of the map, we have our red Zerg player. Oh, I'm usually a much better Ringo, trust me. It's Zenio from Team Liquid. The map is Antiga Shipyard in the left side of the map. In the blue from Dignitas. Needs to win this game, needs to get some traction going for his team. It is MERZ.
Dignitas.merz, indeed.
Right.
So we'll see if he can start to switch things around. As we kind of mentioned before, things are going to get out of hand for Dignitas very quickly if Zenio is able to take another match. Because don't forget, Liquid has a lot of amazing members that are still in the chamber in case he goes down. Hero and Tasia for Korean players, some great foreigners, and Red and Sheth and many others. TLO now back in Korea as well. So a lot of very, very high-profile players there. Dignitas still with a couple of great players up their sleeve as well. A couple of great Terrans, and I've said great like 400,000 times.
Everything is just
everyone
great.
is so great. They still have Show and Select sitting back there.
They're great.
They
Those
are
guys,
great.
Look at that SCV. That's a great barracks he's building.
It's so great.
It's great. That probe is great. What a great job scouting.
Yes, and
great.
I suppose to appease you, I can do this now.
Oh, yeah. See? Get used to it, man.
Yes.
Zoom is fun.
Drone scouting.
It's a great zoom.
That's so great.
It's great.
Yeah.
All right, so TVZ, Antiga Shipyard.
It's great.
Zenio, you know, he's kind of changed his style throughout the months. He's played in a lot of very different ways. There was a time where he was very aggressive. He was a very aggressive two-basey kind of Zerg. There was a time where he would try to play a long game, play for the late game. And now he's kind of settled in the middle. I mean, I think that makes him a real threat in terms of a Zerg versus Terran, is that he has a wide range of styles he can play. He's always been one of the Zergs I've enjoyed watching, even back when he was on OGS, you know, before he joined Liquid.
And I was just checking the version of the map there. It is indeed the version with no gold minerals in the middle, but still pretty good for Terrans. It's a little bit harder to pull off the Mutalisk style play on this map if you're a Zerg player.
Yeah, you don't see a lot of Zergs going for Mutas on Antiga, that's true.
Right, and if you're a Terran player and can sit on the high ground and take this with a few siege tanks, it gives you pretty much absolute control of the middle of the map. So if Terran players can get to that point, it becomes very good for them.
Yeah.
But, you know, Zerg players, as we saw, I remember the game with Liquid's own TLO against Marine King Prime in Team Arena Challenge 2. Where just on the back of pure heavy speedlings, he was able to wrestle control from Marine King Prime off of that high ground.
Speedlings. That's such a fun way to play too.
It is.
You become kind of a bit all in terms of your tech being, you know, a little bit behind, but it's just so much fun to just overrun them. I don't know. That's so cool. That game was awesome. But this is a map. Antiga Shipyard is interesting because this is a map where I've heard a lot of different stories as far as balance goes on it.
I have
from
too.
Talking to different players. Yeah, some Terran players and Zerg players will be like, oh, definitely a Terran map, no problem, easy Terran map, right? And I've seen a lot of Terran and Zerg players too. The one that always stands out in my mind is Polt. When I've talked to him, he's like, oh, this is such a Zerg map. It's so good for Zergs. And he's like afraid of Zergs on this map. So it's such a fascinating map because you see such different opinions on it from the different races.
It's interesting you say that because I think it's a contrast to styles as well.
I think that's definitely part of it.
Very good at playing that Marine tank style. As I was kind of showing before because I was going to use that to illustrate the point, plays at incredibly high APM. He's around 400 at the moment. So,
wow.
And he does that. That's kind of what he's known for. He does that every game. And so he's very good at manipulating the siege tank, leapfrogging forward, getting good positioning with those. Very good at it. Polt's a player, though, while very quick on APM as well, likes to play that bio style, and the bio style is not as dominant here on the high ground. So, you know, I mean, I definitely think it's a contrast to styles there.
Yeah, I mean, his philosophy on it was that there's a lot of room in the middle of the map for a Zerg to kind of move around, you know, and get flanks, get surrounds, that type of thing.
Yeah.
But a lot of Zerg players would counter-argue that Terran can control the space on their corner of the map pretty easily on this map, and I think that's definitely true to a certain extent as well. So when it comes down to it at the end of the day, I think overall this is a pretty balanced map, you know, especially now that the gold minerals are out. I think this is a map that you can really see go either way in TVZ.
Well, a couple of Hellions poking up at the front now. It looks like, Zenio intends to take a third base. Of course, his opponent, MERZ, has already done such a thing. The third orbital command is finished up. Of course, he'll want to saturate two bases as quickly as is humanly possible. Then when he feels like he has the tech and map dominance, he'll go ahead and set that down over towards a third.
Yep. Map dominance. It is nice. Ooh, a Roach Warren for Zenio. Okay, so
Cute.
yeah, Roach Warrens are pretty good. He's not going to go all in with it looks like, because he did put down that other command center, or other hatchery, rather.
The command hatchery.
Yeah, that's right. The hatch center.
Yes.
Hatch center, right? But if he just makes, like 5 to 7 roaches, he can just push all the way back across the map and maybe even put a little bit of pressure on MERZ too. So this is a good move. You see a lot of Zergs trying to do this. This is usually a precursor to going into Infestor style and then into relatively quick Brood Lords. But we'll have to see how Zenio decides to play it. Some Zergs do like to get on 3 bases and then just try to like Roach Baneling all in too.
Well, Speedy Overlord is not speedy enough to get out of the way of these Marines, unfortunately, but he does get a very good scout and picks up on that 3rd orbital command as well, which is pretty
enough to see that
at this stage. Yeah, definitely.
It's a big deal. There would have been a lot of times in the past where that Overlord would not have gotten that far.
That's very true, but MERZ now has a pretty good contain on his opponent. The best thing he's going to do right now is he's going to limit the amount of drone transfers that are going to be there for a while. Here we go. Some Roaches are finally coming out to push those back.
Yep.
And the Hellions will have to retreat, and that'll give Zenio the ability to saturate his 3rd.
Yeah, now did Zenio get any spine crawlers? Okay, he does just have 1. Yeah, a lot of Zerg players prefer to get a few Roaches out rather than get the spine crawler. I mean, obviously it gives you another tech option a little bit earlier on. And, they're just more useful. I mean, they're much more mobile, obviously, than spine crawlers. Oh,
Where is it? Where is it? You see what I'm... There it is.
I do. There is a Baneling nest. All right, so we'll have to see how aggressive Zenio wants to get with this. It could be more defensive in nature, but when you get Roach Warren and then Baneling nest, and you're going for double upgrades for your Lings, that could be something that kind of tells us that Zenio may not want to really have this game go on terribly long.
Yeah, very, very true. So we'll see what ends up coming up here now as layer tech's being started. 1-1 upgrades are on the way now for those Zerglings and Banelings, and potentially Broodlings if we get that far.
Any sort of Ling.
Yes. Ooh, actually, yes. That's the Ling attack upgrade.
That's right.
Ooh.
Ultra Ling.
The Ultra Ling.
The Ultra Ling is very big, but yet very small and hops.
Yes. That would be frightening to see a Zergling the size of an Ultralisk just like careening down the map.
But an Ultralisk the size of a Zergling is just cute.
Aww.
I know.
It's so adorable. It's got its little claws.
It'd be the cutest little thing.
Yeah, I know. Hey, watch out, Hellions. Looks like, oh, wow. No, okay, one Hellion does die. I thought they were going to stand in there for a second, but that would have been suicide. Sitting over on Zenio's side, we do see Lair Tech just about finished up. We'll see if he wants to put down the very quick infestation pit.
Yep,
and
wouldn't
start to
surprise
kind
me
of,
at all.
yeah, that's what I'm expecting at the very least.
Yeah. How many drones is Zenio on right now? He has 71. Okay, that's about where you normally want to be. Some Zerg players like to go up to around 80-ish too, but 70 is usually good for 3 bases.
Sure.
And yep, Baneling speed right away and Burrow. Oh, okay, all right. So
very interesting.
Still no higher tech.
There it
waiting
is.
for it. There it is. Okay, infestation going down. All right. So yeah, just kind of a little bit of defensive Banelings early on, something you can use in the later part of the game, but has just in case there would be some sort of push coming. A little bit quicker from MERZ. So Zenio just kind of being prepared.
I didn't mean to ignore MERZ as well, but I mean, I very much expected because of his style at the beginning of this game to be going down that Marine siege tank path, and that's indeed what he is doing.
Yep.
So pretty predictable stuff on his side. He's investing in his upgrades well. He's already got +2 attacks coming up. I think he has an armory, but just a single engineering bay for now. So he's no, okay, he does have dual. He just hasn't decided to start that armor level 2 quite yet.
Yep, that's right. +2/+2 starting
there
for
we go.
Zenio. So he'll have his upgrades as well.
Yep.
And, that Overlord's going to pay for putting creep all over the place.
Bye-bye.
Oh, well.
Yeah. Didn't block anything either. It was just kind of a minor annoyance.
Yep. So it looks like we're going to move into a little bit longer of a game. Zenio very forward on the map here, but we'll have to see how much he can really accomplish with this. This is a bit risky. I mean, I think it's just something to control the middle of the map in this particular case, but he just decided to poke a little bit farther forward to kind of see what was up there.
Hive Tech was just started as well, but no Spire quite yet, because if he wants to move, he could be going down Ling in Faster Ultra, especially, with the melee upgrades that he's been getting this entire time, but we would expect a Spire pretty soon if he's going to prioritize Broodlords.
Well, a lot of Zergs really put emphasis on getting to that late game as fast as possible, like 14, 15-minute mark at the latest, just because after the Ghost nerf, Terran is still struggling a little bit against Zerg in the late game. So Zerg players are like, well, all right, well, if I can get there even faster and still stay safe while I do it, then I can kind of put Terran in that uncomfortable position that much earlier. So you see a lot of Zerg players doing that. I know I mentioned Stefano a lot, but I love his really fast tech up to Broodlords versus Terran. I think it is going to be Ultras here for Zenio. That would make more sense, especially because it's a little bit late now for Spire to be put down.
Right. Yeah.
But either way, it's going to be something that, like I mentioned, is going to put MERS in that uncomfortable TVZ late game situation.
Couple of additional bases put down for Zenio. He's already saturating a 4th. He's got a 5th coming up as well. And again, just banking up so many resources. Wait, there's a Spire. Okay, and an Ultraless Cavern. So he'll be able to make some Ultras for the time being as he gets Adrenal Glands as well, and then be able to kind of switch over to Broodlords on his own time.
Yeah, that's kind of become the trend. If the Zerg is able to expand, you know, more or less without any sort of penalty like Zenio is, then you go ahead and throw down that Spire too, because you know you're going to be sitting on the late game maybe a little bit longer in that case, and you can do that tech switch over to Broodlords. I almost said Zerglords, but which sounds like a great band name, but maybe not a great unit name in StarCraft too. Thank you, Cleveland. We are Zerglord.
Thank you, O'Fallon, Missouri. That sounds more like where Zerglord would play.
That's probably true.
Well, Zenio pushed off of this position. This is when it becomes dicey for a Zerg player. If MERS is able to wrest control of the high ground, it's going to be difficult even for Ultraless to be able to assault that position.
Yeah.
MERS is doing a very nice job leapfrogging his tanks before. I've got to say, this game is almost going exactly how I envisioned this would happen, knowing these two players at the beginning of the game. So we'll see, certainly, though, how Zenio is going to be able to do as time goes along. His Spire's almost finished. 4 Ultras are on the way. He's got all the relevant upgrades. I don't know if he got chitinous plating quite yet.
Yeah, I don't. Well, maybe he did. I didn't. I actually was not paying attention.
Oh,
He's
there
getting
it
it
goes.
right now. He just started it. Yeah,
Yep.
I didn't think he'd gotten it quite yet. But MERS has a very strong army. I mean, yeah, like you said, he's totally in his element right now in this game, playing the game kind of on his own terms. And Zenio, some pretty nice fungals, but nothing to really back it up.
No, not really at all. This is still very bold from MERS. I thought he would have moved to the middle and taken his 4th, but looks like he wants to do damage right now, and that is going to offer Zenio an ability to try and flank this army, and he does have those Ultras up off to the side while morphing in 13 more Banelings. Looks like MERS, though, just going to try and push ahead and start denying some economy.
Yep, Zenio needs to make some sort of move soon. Ultra and a bunch of Banelings there. Should be able to clean that up. All right. That does work.
Yeah, MERS didn't pick that
So
up,
many
unfortunately.
Tanks. Man, that's a lot of siege tanks. All right. And so Zenio has Burrow. He's got the ability to do kind of a T-gun-esque thing where you get the burrowed infestors underneath them, throw out some infested Terrans to soak shots, and then move in. But it looks like he's going to use Queens, and here he goes.
Yeah, the Queens did soak up quite a few of those shots, and now the infestors are starting to roll on through. The Ultralists have actually been relatively untouched. He did a great job of buffering damage, and the siege tanks didn't deal out all that much. So the Ultralists are able to roll on through and pretty much clean up everything else.
No kidding. Zenio really pushing back MERS at this point, and he has been able to keep his bases more or less intact, too. So Zenio going into this very late game in a great position right now. He doesn't even need to attack. He can just try to deny this 4th base and let his opponent kind of starve out at this point.
This is really cute for MERS. I like this. It's just a total side note, but the position of the supply depots here allows him to wall off basically both sides.
Zenio's going for it. I don't know about this. This is a little bit of a maybe overly bold move, but we'll see how it works out.
Well, the Ultralists are taking quite a bit of damage. There are only 2 remaining now. One of those is just about to fall. There it goes, and now just 1 Ultralisk left, but he will be able to effectively damage this base. Oh, actually just 4 hit points away from it lighting on fire. At the same time, MERS floated overhead with this drop, and he's going to try and take out a hatchery in the meantime.
Yep, he might get it. Zenio needs some units to respond there, but I got to say that attack that he just pulled against MERS lost him a lot of units. That may really come back to haunt him this game.
All right, well, we'll see if Zenio is able to make things work now. He is still able to put on some pressure into this base. Unfortunately, it is on fire now. Planetary Fortress is still morphing in and will need to be repaired up. But MERS did effectively deny 1 base off to the right-hand side.
Wow, Zenio needs to do something about these drops. These are doing a lot of damage right now. That planetary is actually going to finish. Zenio's hold on this game actually may be slipping a little bit here.
Well, these Zerglings certainly aren't going to clean things up. Another 32 Zerglings on the way, and a lot of drones are going to die. 21 workers killed to just 4. Oh, the Ultrals are trying to run it right now. The tanks were actually on siege, so the Zerglings are able to buffer quite a bit of damage, and the tanks are falling very quickly. Zenio, though, trying to go after the planetary, and he's not going to get it. Wow, surprised that he decided to send so many units directly at the planetary.
Yeah, he just lost a lot in his main, too. I think he lost a couple buildings as well, but these continuous attacks that are just not doing a lot from Zenio are really what's kind of hurting him. I mean, imagine, if you will, if he had not pushed the 3 bases, if he had just gone for the planetary, which had just started being built at that point. It wasn't even a finished command center. He could have denied that fairly easily, probably been able to get over and save that base in the lower right, and this game would be very different right now. So Zenio just getting a little bit too aggressive at this point in the game, and it is really starting to cost him.
There are a couple of Broodlords up now. Looks like these Zerglings are trying to go through the destructible debris to start going after the third. Don't know if they're going to be able to do so, though. A lot of those going down. A few units are streaming through, though. It is going to require MERZ to move back into position. He has wrested control of the high ground as well. Honestly, not a lot of damage is going to be done here, but the Zerglings are certainly annoying at pulling this army back.
Yeah, for sure. Dignitas.merz forced to leave his gold base, or center base rather, I should say, a little bit less defended than it would normally be otherwise, but it is a planetary, and his units are just so close that he should be okay. This is a situation where, you know, you do see the Zerg saying, oh, this is a more Terran-favored map, because if Terran is allowed to have this spot where they have these 4 bases in kind of square shape here on the map, it's really, really hard to knock them out of that.
Well, MERZ is going to continue rolling forward now. He's really got to start destroying a couple of the bases on the left-hand side. That is the lifeblood of Zenio at the moment. Now, we do have a few Broodlords in the air, 4 of them to be exact. And, oh, looks like the Marines are going to get right underneath and pick off one of them without any real damage being done. So a good move there from MERZ. He's going to try and pick off a couple more. He does manage to find all of the infestors. Actually, one gets away, but he was able to pick off 2 before much damage was done. Those 3 Broodlords are starting to fly their way back, but there's still a fair number of Marines being protected here. Those tanks, though, dealing out more damage than anything else, and Zenio's control with the Broodlords has been pretty good.
Yeah, it hasn't been bad at all despite losing just a couple of them early on. He is still about 30 supply down, though, so he's definitely not out of the woods yet. This is a very strong push from MERZ, and we'll have to see. You know, MERZ might just decide to ignore the other bases completely and just go to the main, but nope, there we go. Dropping up there to go after those hatcheries. Those tanks are actually just kind of like left on their own. Yeah,
no kidding, man. That's actually one Broodlord will be able to pick all of those off. And MERZ, wow, yeah, you're absolutely right. Not getting really any damage done there. Has to now move away.
Yeah, I don't really know why you would drop like right by those Broodlords too. You know, he didn't drop under them and tried to kill them or anything. He just dropped kind of near them, so they were able to hit him pretty easily. Left his tanks behind, so this was something that started pretty good, but turned out to be not the best engagement for MERZ, and that actually gave Zenio a little bit of an edge here. That did actually even things up a little bit.
And a couple of Zerglings trying to make their way through. Everything will get cleaned up, and another stem trying to take out that spawning pool. But here comes Zenio. That is a fleet of Broodlords sitting overhead. He is going to start laying siege to this planetary fortress. Is there enough here for MERZ? He actually doesn't have a single Viking in the air.
Yeah, Zenio's problem right now, too, is that he doesn't have enough infestors to really make this work as well. He's kind of focusing on banelings because his resources are getting so low, and he's losing a base in the upper left again.
Yes, he is. So 2 things going on at once. MERZ trying to do as much damage as he can because the Broodlords, once again, are laying siege to this planetary fortress in the middle. It's going to require MERZ to repair that up very, very quickly. Still, just nothing but medevacs, Marines, and tanks being produced now for MERZ.
Yeah, no sort of attempt to go into the late game or anything like that. Just kind of counting on that strong Marine tank composition, which he is quite good at. But he still needs to be careful. He has not won the game just yet, but he's getting pretty close.
Let's see here, though, as Zenio, he does have one more mining base down to the bottom left-hand corner. MERZ, though, is going to be out of mining here pretty soon if the planetary fortress falls, and it does. He's going to need to float over another command center very, very soon.
Oh, wow. This game is actually just getting crazy right now. I really thought Zenio was in trouble, but MERZ made a couple mistakes himself, and that kind of definitely evened things up a little bit. He's sending more drops across the top of the map to try to do some more damage, try to kill off some more important tech buildings. But these tanks are all going to get destroyed. Yeah. I don't know if he's going to be able to save those from Zenio's Broodlords.
Once again, just very exposed, and Zenio does have that big crushing force overhead. I mean, there is a very large supply advantage for MERZ at the moment. He is killing tech, but does he have a way to assault that base head-on, or to assault that army head-on?
Not really at this point, no. He has to kind of engage in the sort of guerrilla warfare. Oh, and all the tanks getting taken out. That's a bit sad to watch, but not a lot you can do about it otherwise. Big army in the middle of the map, too, for MERZ, so, you know, he still has a chance. It's a good army, and he is quite a bit ahead on supply, too, so he's in a good spot. But what could have been, I think, a little bit quicker game for MERZ is now ending up to be a little bit insane.
Yeah, it is. So MERZ now What does he do from here? He's trying, okay, he's floating over an orbital command to the middle of the map. He's trying to produce as many Marines as is possible. I'm still just really surprised why he hasn't tried in any way, shape, or form to contest the airspace with Vikings or Ghosts or anything like that that is going to allow this Broodlord force to be a little bit more effective.
Oh, I know. I mean, that's exactly it, right? I mean, MERZ just doesn't have a good composition, but here we go. Oh, great Fungals. Oh, but he doesn't run the Banelings in because of the siege tanks, too.
Right.
And that may give the Marines what they need to get in and take out a lot of Broodlords.
Well, let's see. None of the Broodlords have fallen quite yet. The Banelings are running it from behind as well, so a lot of the anti-air is down. In fact, the Marine numbers are down to just 33, so Zenio, despite kind of maintaining that same supply disadvantage, is able to kill most of the anti-air from MERZ, and that's what he needs.
Exactly. This is so interesting, actually. I mean, Zenio is having to do this push a little bit differently than he would normally do. You normally want infestors with this, too, but he doesn't really have too many left.
No, they're just sitting in the back. They do have enough for one fungal, but he's not going to expend it quite yet. There it finally hits. And the Banelings are going to roll through and clean up quite a bit of the rest. So the Broodlords are still kind of out in force. They haven't whittled down just a little bit, but unfortunately these medevacs are getting picked off very quickly. Corruption actually hitting from those Corruptors, so these units are going to be very, very weak. Hopefully they'll allow the Broodlords to get in from behind, and look at that.
Man.
MERZ is pushed back again.
The Broodlord's doing so well. Both players have about the same mining right now, but Zenio just has this really, really strong army composition. He's down to just only Broodlords, though. Can he kill these Marines fast enough?
I don't know. We'll find out. A couple of the Broodlords have gone down. There are simply 5 remaining, but the Marines once again are getting pushback.
Yeah, that's right. Zenio needs to reinforce with this very, very quickly with some lings, with something just to push these Marines back. Once he does, he should be in great shape. Yep, MERZ forced to abandon that base yet again.
All right. Well, there are just Marines left and a couple of Banelings, but really nothing holding on to this. We'll see. Yeah, MERZ is going to go for it. He's going to buffer with those SCVs and just allow his Marines to do the rest of the damage. Here come the rest of the Zerglings from behind, though. Is it going to be enough for Zenio? This is very back and forth. The Banelings roll through quite a few of the units, though. Pretty good explosion on the Marines as well. Down to just 4 Broodlords, but the Marines have to turn around.
Yeah, he just does not have the anti-air, and he's making more medevacs right now. Not Vikings, and I think Zenio may have this. What a crazy back and forth game, but in the end, MERZ, you know, just being the one to make a few more little mistakes, and that's all it takes at high-level StarCraft 2, but other than that, both of these guys playing really well this game.
Oh, and that infestation pit was restarted in a very nice fungal growth.
GG.
There it is, GG, and Zenio somehow coming back and taking another game. He has now won 3 in a row for Team Liquid.
Well, this is a Code S Zerg player we're talking about, man. I mean, he